Cookin. I'm your hostess, Cindy Schumacher. On today's show, we'll be making chicken Italiano, Asiago potato stacks, late summer salad, and peaches and cream brunch cake. So we're going to start with the chicken Italiano. I have 4 breast halves that I've pounded down just a little bit because sometimes they're so thick that it's a little bit harder for them to bake through. But we're going to put some melted butter in one of the bowls here. And then we're going to combine the topping. That'll be a half cup of Parmesan cheese, which I have freshly grated, so it's a little bit fluffier than buying it in the canister. Although if you want to buy it in the canister, if your store does not carry the Parmesan cheese, you know, go ahead and use that. I think if you talk to your grocer about, you know, something that you want to be using that they don't carry, that's what they've done for me. They used to not carry the Parmesan cheese, and so they started carrying the Parmesan that I could grate. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of minced parsley. I still have some fresh parsley. That's one of those things in the garden that doesn't mind the cooler temperatures. So so I'm using fresh parsley. If you don't have fresh parsley, just use the dried parsley that you can buy in the spice jar. A clove of garlic minced. And here again, if you don't have fresh garlic and you don't have a mincer, you can go ahead and use the garlic that you can buy in the jar or whatever. A teaspoon of dried oregano. I actually have some fresh oregano, but this recipe calls for dried, so that's what we're gonna use. Teaspoon. Fresh ground black pepper. Okay. Just want to double check and make sure I've got everything. Okay, I have the oven preheated to 375. I'm going to dip the chicken breasts in 3 tablespoons of melted butter, and then in the crumb mixture. I'm using a 9 by 13 glass pan. And because there's salt in the butter, and there's also the Parmesan cheese has a little bit of a salty flavor, so I'm not adding any salt to this recipe, but you can always add it later on if you're, you know, while you're eating, and if you feel like you need to add some salt. This is such a simple dish, and it's really very elegant if you want to do something a little special with dinner guests. This is a nice idea. And then you can do an Italian salad. I'm doing kind of a late summer salad because of the season, and I'm doing some Asiago potato stacks. But this would be really good if you want to make a pasta dish like one of the ones we've made, maybe 3 cheese pasta or a spinach cabrini, something like that. Okay, so the recipe calls for 25 minutes to bake. I usually lean more towards an hour because I want to make sure it's cooked through. It stays very moist, but you might want to start checking it pierce it, see if the juices are running clear yet, you know, at about half an hour or whatever. So we're going to put it in. I'm going to clean up.
Internet is here. Valley now has higher broadband speeds of up to 1 gigabit. Get the bandwidth you need for all your devices at one time. Gaming with no lag time. Video stream your favorite movies instantly in HD quality. Video chat with friends and family without interruption. Download your favorite music and photos in seconds. All on our 100% fiber optics network. Valley offers managed Wi-Fi and backup services too, bringing together all the services you need. Valley Telecommunications Cooperative.
We're ready to start on the peaches and cream brunch cake. I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. To that I'm going to add a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to whisk that together to combine it. And we're going to set it aside. And we're going to make a cream cheese filling. I have an 8-ounce cream cheese here. To that I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Some humidity in here. I'm just going to whip that together. A little bit fluffy. I'm going to add 1 whole egg to that and a half teaspoon of vanilla. We're going to set that aside. And then I'm going to make a topping, brown sugar topping, and that is a cup of packed light brown sugar, 2/3 cup of chopped nuts, I'm using walnuts, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half teaspoon of nutmeg. I want to tell you about this cake. It's the first time I made it with blueberries because I didn't have peaches and I wanted to try it out, and I got rave reviews. It's wonderful, and it's such a treat with all the layers and everything for a coffee cake. It's really a delicious dessert. I hope you try it. Today we're doing it with peaches, which is what the original recipe calls for, but you can substitute, you could even substitute rhubarb if you wanted to. Apples when your apples are ready on the trees, and then drizzle a little bit of caramel ice cream topping over the top of it. It just has so many options that you can use, but today we're going to do it the way the recipe calls for. So I'm going to set this aside. I want to mention too right now while we're talking about making this that if you want a copy of any of these recipes, if you don't have internet, give the girls at Valley a call. They'll be happy to help you. If you do have internet, you go to the Valley homepage, www.valleytel.net. Click on the Country Cookin' Cow and you'll find all the recipes. So I'm going to take a quick break, kind of put some things away, and we'll keep going. Thanks. We'll be right back.
Valley is now offering updated digital TV packages and prices. Call Valley today at 437-2615.
Okay, we're going to start with the rest of the batter. I have a half cup of butter that is softened. And I have a cup of granulated sugar. It's so humid in here that everything's kind of sticking to the dishes. Okay, I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to add 3 eggs, one at a time. After you've got the eggs incorporated, then we're going to add a cup of sour cream. Take a quick second here to scrape it down before I add the flour mixture. Okay. I still haven't invented a better way to clean off beaters, but till then, we're going to keep using fingers. Okay, I have a 9x13 pan that I have sprayed with cooking spray. So I have 2 cups of peaches that I have peeled and chopped, kind of coarsely chopped. You don't want them real fine so they get mushy. You want them to have a little bit of a substance to them. Okay, half of the batter gets spread in the bottom of the pan. Scoop here. Looks pretty even. Looks like that. Then we're going to take the topping and we're going to put about half of that over the top of this. I'm just going to sprinkle it. looks like that. And then we're going to put this on top of it. And I need another spatula. Spread it around without disrupting the brown sugar mixture too much. I got my cream cheese a little bit too soft when I was trying to bring it to room temperature. I popped it in the microwave. So usually you would probably have to dollop this a little bit more than I have to this morning. So just do your best to spread it around. Okay, we're gonna put the rest of the batter on top, and this you're gonna kind of want to drop a little bit because you don't want to. There again, you don't want to disrupt your layers that you've already put in there. Some of the other variations, I think I mentioned it earlier, but if you have raspberries, I know a lot of people in the area have raspberry bushes around and things like that. If you still have rhubarb, just go ahead and try to do something like that. And of course, apples, if you've got some apples that you can get a hold of. Boy, that chicken's smelling good. Okay. Now I'll put the rest of the topping over that. Okay, that is going into the oven. I preheated it at 350 for about 35 minutes. Actually, it takes closer to about 45. So at about the 35-minute mark, stick your toothpick in, test it, and see how it's doing. So we'll be right back. I'm going to start working on the Asiago potato stacks. So we're going to start with 3 tablespoons of melted butter, 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, a half teaspoon of freshly ground black pepper, 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. I keep kosher salt on hand. I actually use it for my canning salt because it works just as well, and I use it for so many other things. I use it for salt on if I'm making pretzels or some kind of a bread where I want a salty crust. So I always keep kosher salt on hand. Okay, so we need to add, I have thyme in my herb garden, so it calls for a tablespoon of fresh thyme. If you don't have fresh thyme, just use about a half of a tablespoon of dried thyme. So I just want to check and make sure. I'm going to kind of mix this together, and then I'm going to stir in the Asiago cheese, about a half cup. This is a little bit more than a half cup because I'm going to use just a little bit extra to just sprinkle over the top. And like I said before, if your store doesn't carry Asiago, I would imagine maybe you could substitute Parmesan cheese, freshly grated Parmesan cheese for this, but if you can get your hands on some Asiago cheese, that's really what, it just has a distinct flavor. And you really should try it. You really should try it. So I peeled my potatoes. It calls for a half pound of a long russet potato. So I've got that in here. And then it calls for a pound of yellow potatoes, which I couldn't find them, so I used red potatoes, and I've had them soaking in water. So as you pull it out, you want to dry them all. And then I'm using a Pampered Chef Simple Slicer. I use this for a lot of things. It just makes things, you know, if I'm going to slice onions or potatoes, I use this for my fried potatoes and everything all the time. When it gets down kind of low, then you're going to want to use the, maybe slip the guide back on when I get down that low. Normally, you don't use such a big thing as a russet potato. Okay. Set that aside, and then we're going to slice the rest of them. Okay, we spoke out her here. One more. Got this one stuck in here. Now, I'm gonna just drain the water off of here a little bit. Put about half of these in. And we're gonna put about half of the topping over them. Now they say to do this with your hands, that it just will incorporate everything better. You just kind of make sure that all sides of the potatoes are covered with the butter olive oil mixture. I'm going to do the rest of it in this bowl and then I'll combine them. These are so good. They get nice and crispy, and they're even good warmed up if you have some leftovers. All right, let's put them together. I've greased some muffin tins here, and so you just layer the potatoes in each one of the tins. So I always kind of start filling them and then I go back and add as I go, so I know, so they're all kind of even. The nice thing about these is people can take one or two or however many they want, and they're easy to dish. There, they look pretty even. Okay. I'm going to give them a little bit of a shake with some sea salt. And then I'm going to give another dose of a little bit of pepper. You don't have to do this. I'm kind of a pepper person, so take the rest of the Asiago cheese and just kind of give them a little bit of a sprinkle. Okay, these take about 40 to 50 minutes. At 375, I'm going to pop them in the oven, clean up. We'll be right back.
Valley Telecommunications, we pride ourselves in providing the home team advantage. But what does that mean? It means going above and beyond to take care of our customers' needs by providing exceptional customer service, because helping you helps all of us. As a cooperative, each time you subscribe to our services, you are investing in our community, which allows all of us to build and benefit from the newest technologies. Make the switch today to Valley Telecommunications and experience the home team advantage.
Okay, I'm going to stir together the salad dressing for the late summer salad. I'm going to start with a 4th cup of Dijon mustard. I have this little salad maker from Pampered Chef that I really like because it's got measuring things on here. So I need a 4th cup, which is 2 ounces. So I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze until I get that in here. I'll give it another couple of squeezes. Okay. Okay, then I need a 4th cup of honey, and there again, it's the 2 ounces, so I'm just going to pour until I see it on the line here. There we go. 4th cup of apple cider vinegar, which I pre-measured. 4th cup of extra virgin olive oil. Let's go ahead and measure it in here. A teaspoon of salt. And a half teaspoon of black pepper. You can use freshly ground, or I'm in the essence of time, I'm just going to go ahead and use my black pepper out of my shaker. And then with this, you just pump it until it's all mixed up. Okay, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator so it chills a little bit, and then we'll throw together the salad. Okay, I have 5 cups of loosely packed, this is romaine lettuce. If you can get your hands on some mixed salad greens, you can add some spinach or do something like that. But so I have washed, stemmed, and torn romaine lettuce. It took just a little over a head to get my 5 cups. So I have a cucumber that I've peeled and sliced. Some red onions. They say about a 4th cup. I used my simple slicer and sliced it really thin, and then I just kind of tear them so that they aren't such long strings. Fourth cup of bacon that I've fried and crumbled. And 2 tablespoons of sunflower seeds. So it looks like that. I'm I'm going to take a quick break and clean up. We'll be right back.
Here, Valley now has higher broadband speeds of up to 1 gigabit. Get the bandwidth you need for all your devices at one time. Gaming with no lag time. Video stream your favorite movies instantly in HD quality. Video chat with friends and family without interruption. Download your favorite music and photos in seconds. All on our 100% fiber optics network. Valley offers managed Wi-Fi and backup services too, bringing together all the services you need. Valley Telecommunications Cooperative.
Okay, we're ready to dish. As always, you wouldn't want to serve something right out of the oven like we're doing today, but in the essence of time, we're going to go ahead and scoop out. I'm going to give that a dollop of Cool Whip. You don't need to. My husband says it's good without it, so you know, whatever you like, but sometimes just a dollop of Cool Whip, it's kind of fun. So oops, I'm clumsy today. Okay, we're gonna pour a little dressing on. Like I always tell you, if you're not going to be using the whole salad right away, you're always best to serve the salad dressing on the side so that it doesn't get so wilty. And there you go. We have our chicken Italiano, our Asiago potato stacks, our late summer salad, and peaches and cream brunch cake. Thanks for joining us today on this edition of Country Cookin'. We hope to see you next time.